Hello everybody and welcome to another edition of As the Crow Flies Hiking. Today I'd like to talk about the Alabama Triple Crown. That's right, the Alabama Triple Crown of backpacking, that is. About a year ago, myself and some other YouTubers got together in Michigan at the request of Mark Goes Hiking, and we did 3 loops in Michigan that comprised the Lower Michigan Triple Crown. It was an excellent trip. I got to hike in a state I've never seen before. And it got me to thinking about Alabama and what Alabama has to offer as far as hiking trails. Now, I knew of 2 specific trails that I wanted to include on my concept of this Alabama Triple Crown, but I wasn't sure about the third one. First, I knew I wanted the Chiaha Wilderness included in this idea of a triple loop, 3-day, 60-mile hike. And I also knew that I wanted the Sipsy Wilderness included in this idea or concept, but I wasn't sure about the third loop. So I started doing some research and I started thinking about a trail that I've hiked at since I was in college, and that is the Oak Mountain State Park in Birmingham, Alabama. Essentially, this Triple Crown of backpacking in Alabama will start in the east, that is in the Talladega National Forest, and do the Chiaha Wilderness and what is commonly referred to as the Chin Pin Skyway Loop. Then it will go to the middle of Alabama in Birmingham to Oak Mountain State Park, where we'll do a loop there, approximately 18 to 20 miles, depending on what little side trails we do. And then the third trail would be the Sipsy Wilderness in the western part of central Alabama. All these trails included or comprised will be the Alabama Triple Crown. So I've asked a bunch of people to come out and try this with me. We're going to hike the 3 trails in 3 days. Basically 60 miles. We'll see how it goes. But let's talk about these 3 trails and what it means to be an Alabama Triple Crowner, I guess you could say. First, the Chiaha Wilderness Loop. The Chiaha Wilderness is essentially in the middle or central part of the Talladega National Forest. There is a state park on top of the mountain where the highest point of Alabama is some 2,400 feet or so at the high point. But around that high point is the Chiaha Mountain. At the base of that mountain is a place we call Adams Gap and another place called Turnip Seed Campground. Now, along that area is a loop that comprised of 3 trails. First, the trail would be the Chinnabee Silent Trail. We will be hiking north on the Chinnabee Silent Trail, starting essentially in the middle, starting at Turnip Seed Campground. Hike up to the top of the mountain, which I've always called Spartan Mountain, or 300, because it is simply straight up. So when you get to the top of there, you turn right, and then you're on the second trail. It is the Pinhoti Trail. Now, the Pinhoti Trail is about 177 miles or so in Alabama, and the trail goes on into Georgia, connects to the Benton-MacKaye Trail, which connects to the Appalachian Trail. So you could start essentially at Flag Mountain near Sylacauga, Alabama, and hike all the way up to the Appalachian Trail. But the Pinhoti will comprise some 8 or 9 miles of this loop. When you get to the top of the Chinnabee Silent Trail, you come to a junction, you'll take a right, get on the Pinhoti, and then you'll be on the Pinhoti for about 8 or 9 miles until you get to Adams Gap. Once you get to Adams Gap, then you will connect to the Skyway Trail. The Skyway Trail is approximately 6 to 7 miles, and it will connect back to the Chinnabee Silent Trail. There's lots of awesome features along the way. On the Pinhoti Trail, at the top there, you'll see all kinds of beautiful vistas that look back south toward the mountains and the Appalachian foothills that go down to Flag Mountain. But then as you come down the mountain and go to Adams Gap, you'll head down the Skyway Trail. On the Skyway Trail, you see beautiful forests of pines and oaks and things like that, and then water features at the bottom. Then you have to hike your way back up. And along that path, you will see Devil's Den and beautiful waterfalls and the Chinnabee Creek as you hike back up to Turnip Seed Campground. Essentially, this loop is somewhere between 17 and 18 miles. For me, I clocked it at 18 miles. But whatever the case may be, it is a beautiful loop. That will be the first leg of the Alabama Triple Crown, the Chiaha Wilderness Loop, or sometimes called the Chin Pin Sky Loop. Now let's move on to the second loop, which is the Oak Mountain State Park Loop. Oak Mountain State Park is located in Birmingham, Alabama, south of the metropolitan area. It is a beautiful state park, and it has all kinds of biking trails, hiking trails, kayak, swimming, and it even has places to stay at the park like campgrounds. As I was looking for this second leg of the Alabama Triple Crown, I came across Oak Mountain State Park and thought, I've hiked there for 30 years. There is a great loop inside Oak Mountain State Park that would be perfect for this second leg of the Alabama Triple Crown. And that would be taking of numerous trails, the blue trail, the green trail, the yellow trail, the red trail, the white trail, and figure out a loop that comes out to be about 20 miles. What I had to do based on my configuration was add 2 inner loops to get to the 20-mile mark. You don't have to do those, but I think the essential parts of the loop are the blue trail, which heads up the mountain, across the ridge, and takes you out to one of the first views, which is King's Chair. Along the way, you see a lesser view, but it's still a beautiful place, which is Eagle's Nest. And then once you get to King's Chair after Eagle's Nest, you'll be out to a beautiful vista that looks south. Then you go across the ridge on the blue trail as far as you can go. What I did was offer a backcountry trail off of the blue trail that takes you to some other vistas along the way. This adds another mile or so, maybe a mile and a half, to get the blue trail and all the trails up to approximately 20 miles. But once you go across the ridge and you head to the end of the blue trail, you come to the other iconic point of this loop that we're calling the second leg of the Alabama Triple Crown, and that is Pivine Falls. There is a side trail that takes you down to Pivine Falls, and when it's raining, there's a lot of water. But when I did this trail to scout out the Alabama Triple Crown, there wasn't a lot of water because it was hot and it was in the summer. So not a lot of water, but it was still a beautiful place to look. And then off that side trail, you head back up to the parking lot off of the blue trail, and that's where the blue trail ends. You get on the green trail. And then once you get on the green trail, you're gonna take that for 3 or 4 miles and connect all the way back to the yellow trail. The yellow trail is on the bottom of the mountain, but it is not flat. It's kind of like a roller coaster. And along the way, there's all sorts of water features and creeks and streams. There's even a nature center along the way that you can stop at. At the end of the day, you come up with a close to 20 miles on the Oak Mountain State Park loop. It's a beautiful trail, and I think it will be a good scenic addition to the Alabama Triple Crown. Now let's move on to the third leg, or the last leg of the Alabama Triple Crown, in the Sipsy Wilderness. The Sipsy Wilderness is one of the gems of Alabama. It is absolutely stunning to see for the first time. With all the limestone rock and the waterfalls and the creeks, it is a natural convergence of a lot of streams and a watershed for Alabama. I think in 1975, the Sipsy Wilderness was made into a wilderness area. There's very little trail signs or blazes. There's just simply the signs that tell you where the trails start. In fact, there's even an old bridge that comes across one of the trails. It used to be an overpass or a highway bridge for the road, but it's been abandoned when the Sipsy Wilderness was expanded sometime in the 1980s. Squidly from Gone Feral with Squidly and I did a scouting trip to the Sipsy Wilderness a while back. It was hot during the summer, but we tackled the 21.2 mile loop that is a larger loop inside the Sipsy Wilderness. You start on Trail 200 and you make your way through some beautiful landscape of waterfalls and cliffs and even the creek down below. You make your way to a Fat Man Squeeze type area where the rocks converge and you have to kind of squeeze your way through a little bit, maybe 30 yards. Once you reach the end of the Trail 200, then you're gonna turn left, go across the bridge to nowhere essentially, and get on Trail 224. 224 takes you to the top of the ridge where you can take a side trail over to B Falls off of Trail 204 and 204A or B. And that will get you to see the B Falls and the largest poplar tree in Alabama, maybe even the Southeast, I'm not sure. But that is a side trail, and that's really not part of the loop, but if people want to go down there, they can. Then you continue on until you reach Trail 208. Trail 208 takes you all the way down to Thompson's Trailhead, where you will start Trail 206. Yeah, there's a lot of numbers in this, but that's the way the trails are. They are called other things, but because the signs have the numbers, we will go by the numbers. Once you're on Trail 206, you get back to some of the beauties of the Sipsy Wilderness, going across Borden Creek, Thompson Creek, and then Sipsy Fork, and all those creeks that run together in the Sipsy Wilderness, which takes you all the way to Trail 209. Trail 209 will take you all the way back to Trail 200. You cross the creek, and there you are. You've made it back to the trailhead, essentially, after a half mile, back down 200, to the end of the Sipsy Wilderness Loop. In the end of all of this, I have been able to create what I think is going to be an absolutely fun experience for anybody who wants to attempt the Alabama Triple Crown. If you're interested in attempting the Alabama Triple Crown, let me know. You can email me at asthecrowflieshiking@gmail.com, and I will give you some tips and things to think about as you do the Triple Crown. I've only done this as sections. I've only done the 3 loops in 3 consecutive weekends. Now what I'd like to do is do the 3 trails in 3 days, and that would be the Alabama Triple Crown. So I hope you'll join me as we move along. The next series of videos will be the 3 turn-by-turn directional videos of these 3 loops. For anybody wanting to attempt the Alabama Triple Crown, you can kind of see how the loops work and get a feel for what you would be doing if you attempted it. Then you will hopefully see some videos of the group hiking the Alabama Triple Crown. Thank you so much for joining me on this little short episode of As the Crow Flies Hiking. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope that you got some sense of what the Alabama backpacking is like. The Alabama Triple Crown, 3 loops, 3 days, 60 miles, the Sipsy Wilderness Loop, the Chiaha Wilderness Loop, and Oak Mountain State Park Loop. Anyway, thanks for joining me. I'll see you next time on the next episode of As the Crow Flies Hiking.